Show you how to model Pikachu. Pikachu is a very basic model, and we're going to go through all the steps using polygonal modeling techniques to really get it going. So the first thing I'm going to do is I want to show my project setup. So what I have, let me go to my desktop, go to my Pikachu folder. So I created this folder on my desktop, and all it has is my front and my side view image of Pikachu. So I found these online. You could always draw them yourselves or find them anywhere, but reference photos is going to be the key to our whole project. So I put them in their own folder and it's on my desktop. So it's super easy to get to. Before I even do anything, what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to go to File, Set Project. I'm going to go find that Pikachu folder. And I'm going to go to Set and then Create Default Workspace. What that does is it'll save a separate file to that folder, and it will basically let the program know where everything is, all the settings I had, and pretty much all that information. Super useful if you ever need to switch computers or if you just kind of want to have everything prepped and organized. Insanely useful. Another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Files, Save Scene As. I'm going to type in Pikachu and save that as its own file. This way everything's all nice and organized. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set my reference photos. So to do that, I'm going to go press space on my keyboard. I'm going to split into these 4 different views. And we're going to focus on our front view, which is this one right here. You can see it says it there. And our side view, which is right here. So let's start with the front view. I'm going to go to View, Image Plane, Import Image. I'm going to find my front view picture of Pikachu. Open it up. There he is. Next, I'm going to do the side view. So View, Image Plane, Import Image, and take my side. As you see, there's my 2 files. And hit Open. Now I've got both of those all prepped and ready to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my perspective view for now so we can take a look at it. And we have 2 intersecting photos. This is going to be great because we want to kind of take a look at the photos before we even do anything and just make sure they're all working properly. So what I'll do is I'll switch to my move tool by pressing W, and I'll kind of use the side view as our reference along with our front view just to kind of see if things line up. So if you look right here, the top doesn't line up properly at the highest peak and the bottom doesn't either. So what I'll do is I'll probably scale this down ever so slightly so it fits a little bit better. That looks pretty good. It's still off by a little bit. Let's go a tiny bit smaller. Let's see. Yeah, it looks good. We want our reference photos to match up as best as we can because the closer they are to working with each other, the better it's going to be. And this is going to save you a lot of trouble eyeballing things later on. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to my side and front view again, or my 4 views. I'm going to start with the front view. I'm going to select my image plane, and I'm going to go into Translate Z, and I'm going to actually type in -10. What that's going to do, if I look at my perspective view, is it'll fling it all the way to one side of the screen, or one side to my grid. I'm going to do the same thing with my side view, except I'm going to do it with Translate X. So if you look at this, it says side -X, while we had front -Z, so side -X, so I'll go Translate, -10 there, and that should fling it back over there. This is perfect. This is exactly what we want. So before we do anything else, I'm going to select both of them. I'm just going to scale them a bit. You don't have to do this. It's just going to make it easier for me to see. And that's pretty much all we have to do so far. So next thing is, let's put them on their own layer. So I'm going to select both of them by dragging a box, just like so. And I'm going to add them to its own layer. So to do that, I'm going to go to my layer editor, which is this bottom right corner area right here. I'm going to click on this icon. It looks like a little diamond, and that's going to create a new layer with the objects I have selected. And there it is. And we have these different areas. So I'm going to select on this just to make sure both work. So that's V for visibility. Perfect. of this project. And what we'll do is we'll go to Vertex Mode, and we're going to be moving a lot of these vertices around to really model. So one thing you want to know is when you're working on it and on this, you're going to be working with the 3D space. So if I select, let's just say these 4 vertices right here, or let me get a better selection. Let's just say I want these 4 vertices or 6 vertices, or let's just grab a bunch. Let's just say I wanted these. You may only think you're selecting the ones that are lit up currently, but if we look around, we're actually selecting the ones at the back. So you have to be very careful with how you're selecting things. Selecting something like that could make things very different. The same thing goes for, let's just say, if I selected, let's just say the whole top, and if we use our scale tool, we're going to be scaling from the front and side a lot. So we're going to be using the x-axis and the y-axis scale or z-axis scale. So with that in mind, you never really want to use the center scale, which we'll do all at once, because we want to keep things as even as possible without having to redo things. So you'll see a lot more of that once we get into modeling, which is going to be in a few seconds. So let's start with our front view. So what we have here is a pretty good shape of our Pikachu. I'm going to be modifying this a lot, so just to kind of bear with me. And we're just going to kind of go roughly like that. That looks pretty good. And what we're going to do is we're going to start moving these vertices around to kind of get Pikachu's body shape. So let's start with the center. And we're going to ignore the section where his legs are connecting to the body. So that's kind of this area right here. So we're just going to get a nice curvature to it. So let's just kind of go right around there. Let's go about halfway from now. Actually, no, we should go over there. It'd be fine. And I'm going to move on to the next set. And keep in mind, I am using this side x-axis scale tool. I'm not using the center one because that will give me a little bit of a problem later on. I'm going to do the same with this right here. And that's going to just shape up this part of the body. I'm ignoring the legs for the most part. We're just kind of get that rough body shape. So we're just going in, selecting a row of these vertices and just scaling them. Now once we get to the bottom area right here, we're going to use this to kind of get the lower part of his body. And as you can see, I'm just going to hold shift, select these vertices by dragging boxes. So I'm selecting everything in a 3D space. And we're just kind of selecting them and getting that shape. Next thing I'm going to do is the side view. So it's going to be almost the exact same process. But this time I'm going to be using the z-axis scale. Just keep that in mind. And if we do need to do anything, we could use our move tool to kind of recenter this. So we're just going to keep going and working my way through. That looks good like that. We'll take these. We're going to scale those in just like that. That looks pretty good. We'll take this, bring that out for a little chubby body. And this one will go kind of right around there. And we could fix this area later on. I might actually lower this just so it's kind of below the chin more. I'll bring that out over there just to double check there. That looks great. So now that we have this, we have the rough Pikachu body shape. And if we look at it from the top, it is pretty square still. So I'm going to show you a quick trick to fix that. So what I'll do is I'm going to right click, go to edge mode. I'm going to hold shift and I'm going to double click these diagonal edges. It might be tough for some of them. Just kind of got to click and hope you get them. And then I'm going to switch to my scale tool and I'll use the x-axis to kind of go about halfway that way. And the z-axis to go about half that way, and it'll round it out for you. That's going to bring a lot of character to Pikachu's body shape. Look at that. We got so much done in that little bit of time. So the next video, I'm going to start making his head. And then we'll go into arms and legs and the other details. So see you in that video.